The story starts with our loser of a hero named Kaito Takagi hunting a slime in a dungeon using insect spray. He manages to kill the slime, and he collects its core. He is happy to have finally decided a name for his insect spray attack, and he thinks that it's been 2 years since he started exploring dungeons. He is disappointed to still be hunting slimes on the first floor of the dungeon, and he just killed his 999th slime. He is basically a mob hunter among explorers, and he thinks of ending his exploration today after taking down another slime and getting a kill count of 1,000. He tries to find a slime in the dungeon, and we see that the dungeon is covered with cameras. He then comes across a golden slime, and he states that this will be the perfect prey to commemorate his 1,000th kill. He sneakily heads towards the slime, and he tries to kill it using his insect spray, but the slime dodges, and Kaito has to pull out his insecticide gun to take it down, and he kills it. He proudly mentions that no one can escape his insecticide gun, and he is surprised to notice that he didn't level up. He checks his stats, and he notices that even though the slime was a rare monster, he didn't get much experience. He thinks that he might be able to sell its magic core for a high price, but we see that the slime has dropped something other than a magic core. He finds out that the item is a servant card, and he can't believe how lucky he is. He checks its stats, and he finds out that he can summon a Valkyrie named Sylphie using this card, and he notices that she has some pretty high stats. He thinks that his miserable life will finally turn for the better, and he checks if anyone saw him with the card. He notices that he is safe, and there aren't any cameras in this room either. He mentions that he will have to keep this a secret from everyone else, and he searches the internet to find out what kind of servant Sylphie is. He can't find any information on her, and he remembers that Valkyries are supposed to be demigods from mythology. He wonders if he is holding a rare card in his hand, and he decides to leave the labyrinth thinking that he will need to gather more information on her. On his way out, he meets some real adventurers, and he wishes that one day he can also own armor and weapons like them. He thinks that he might be able to make his wish come true if he sells his servant card, and the scene cuts to him selling the 3 slime cores he obtained throughout the day. They each cost 500 yen, so he receives a total of 1,500 yen, and he tries to leave. But he remembers about the card, and he asks the appraiser how much he would be able to sell a rare servant card for, if he had one. He tells her that this is completely hypothetical, and she informs him that she heard that a rare card of the god type was once traded for 1 billion yen overseas. Kaito then puts his stuff in the locker in the facility including the servant card, and he dreams about having 1 billion yen. He leaves the facility while dreaming about the money, and he keeps this up until he gets to the train station. At the station he meets his friends Shinji and Hayato, and we find out that since they have exploration cards, they can enter the facility anytime they want for free. Kaito tells them that the exploration cards are not supposed to be used for playing in the park around the facility, and the 3 of them take the train together. While talking on the way, they find out that Kaito is still stuck at level 3, and he tells his friends that they should try to explore the dungeon again. They mention that they would rather not, and they remind Kaito that when the 3 of them first became explorers they went to the 2nd floor of the labyrinth thinking that they can defeat a goblin, but they got their asses handed to them. They were able to heal quickly thanks to the potion, but they state that they have had enough of that life. They mention that playing in the park is more fun, and they ask him if he hasn't gotten tired of killing slimes for the last 2 years. They wonder what drives him to keep going, and he mentions that he has a lot going on. The scene then cuts to him walking home, and the girl living next door notices him heading back. Afterwards, Kaito has dinner at home, and his parents hope that his part-time work is not getting in the way of his studies. Kaito mentions that he is fine, and from the ongoing TV broadcast, we find out that dungeons appeared in the real world 13 years ago. Kaito then takes a bath, and he thinks that he might be able to become stronger if he summons the servant he got. He will be able to explore deeper floors, but with 1 billion yen, he can buy as many new equipments and weapons he wants. He will be able to buy anything he desires, and he wonders what he should do. The scene then cuts to him heading to school the next day, and he meets the girl next door named Haruka on the way. The 2 of them walk to school together, and on the way, everyone stares at the beautiful Haruka as they walk past her. Seeing this, Kaito slows down his pace, as he doesn't want anyone to get the wrong idea about the 2 of them, but Haruka matches his pace to walk with him. She mentions that she saw him on his way back home last night, and she wonders where he went. He hides the fact that he went to the dungeon, and he tells her that he went to a boys' party with his friends. They then meet his friends Shinji and Hayato on the way, and Kaito privately talks to them, and he asks them to not tell Haruka that he went to the dungeon yesterday. They agree, and Haruka asks them what they were doing in the boys' party, and they all give different answers. They can't decide on a single activity to tell her, and this makes Haruka angry and she asks Kaito if he went to the dungeon again. Kaito states that he would never go there, and she chooses to believe him, and they head to school. Afterwards, during lunch break, Kaido asks his friends what they would do if they get a rare servant card. They mention that they would sell it immediately as these things are worth millions of yen, and the servants they summon can only be used in the dungeons. Kaido states that he would also sell it, and his friends tell him that he should think about this when he gets a servant card. We then see the teacher teaching in the class, and Kaido thinks that his friends are right. He won't be able to sell the card if he uses it, and he also doesn't know if the servant he summons will be useful or not, but he thinks that he has to prove himself to the girl he loves. The scene then cuts to him at the dungeon, and he goes to an area where there are no cameras. He then thinks that he is going to use this card and become a hero, and he summons the Valkyrie named Sylphie. A giant girl with wings appears in front of him, and he is in awe seeing her majesty, but she soon disappears. Kaido looks around for her, but he can't find her, and he notices a little girl in front of him. She greets him, and he finds out that she is the Valkyrie Sylphie that he summoned. Seeing her small figure, he thinks that his dreams of being a hero are crushed, and he is disappointed that he didn't sell the card for 1,000,000,000 yen. Sylphie asks him if something is wrong, and he states that he is fine, and he tells her that they should go and hunt slimes. The two of them try to search for a slime, and Sylphie tells her master that she can sense a slime nearby. He is surprised that she can sense the presence of monsters, and she takes him to the slime. This proves to Kaido that her powers are real, and he tries to use his insect spray to kill the slime, but he thinks that he should test Sylphie's powers, and he tells her to kill the slime instead. Sylphie then uses an attack named Divine Lightning to kill the slime, and the attack is definitely overkill for such a small monster. This gives Kaido an idea of her power, and he thinks that he should have expected something like this as her battle power is 170, and it's 17 times higher than his. Sylphie then embarrassingly tells Kaido that she is hungry, and she mentions that she will collapse if she doesn't eat, and Kaido remembers that servants eat magic cores. He feeds her the magic core of the slime, and this appeases her hunger. Sylphie then senses another slime, and she tries to head towards it, but Kaido stops her, and he thinks that his servant can sense slimes. But when she uses her powers to kill them, she gets hungry, and she has to eat a magic core to replenish her strength. He realizes that at this rate, he will neither have profit nor loss, and after thinking for a while, he asks Sylphie where the slime is. She takes him to the monster, and he kills it. He thinks that by using Sylphie's power to locate the slime, and his bug spray to kill them, he will be able to make a nice profit. After killing a number of slimes, he notices that he has leveled up, and his battle points have increased by 2 points. He notices that he has also gained a skill named Slime Slayer, and he finds out that this skill is given to those who have mastered combat with slimes, and while using it all of his stats will be increased by 50% when he is fighting slimes. Kaido is disappointed that his stats will only increase while fighting slimes, and Sylphie cheers him up, and she tells him that having any skill is amazing. This makes him cry a little, and he tells her that he will end his exploration here today. Sylphie is sad to hear this, and she wonders if he is going to summon her soon, and he promises her that he will. She is glad to hear this, and he sends her back to the card. Afterwards, he sells the magic cores he collected, and the appraiser is surprised to see that he collected so much in one day. He mentions that he was just lucky to encounter a lot of slimes, and she states that he just made a new record for the number of slimes he killed in one day, and she pays him 15,000 yen for all the cores. The scene then cuts to Kaido lying on the bed in his house, and he thinks that Sylphie possesses amazing power. They might be able to go down to the second floor if they are together, but he is a little scared to face goblins. He then falls asleep, and he dreams about the time when he was a little boy. We see him sitting with Haruka in the dream, and they are watching the news about Haruka's father, who is also a dungeon explorer. We find out that her father is a well-known explorer, and in the news, he states that one day he will find out the truth about dungeons and reveal it to everyone, and hearing this excited Kaido. He then wakes up the next morning, and we see that he has decided to head to the second floor of the labyrinth. The scene cuts to him about to enter the second floor along with Sylphie, and Sylphie tells him that she will do her best to support him. He heads down to the second floor, and he thinks that someday he is going to reveal the truth about the dungeons, and become a hero like Haruka's father. We then see Kaido at the second floor of the dungeon, and he is completely scared for his life. Sylphie asks him if he is alright, and he mentions that he is totally fine, but we see that he is not alright at all, as his legs are shaking. Sylphie grabs his hand to calm him down, and he thanks her for this, and this calms him a little. The two of them then start to explore the area, and Sylphie senses a goblin around the corner. Kaido runs the other way after hearing this, and he tells her that he has something to take care of, but he remembers the dream he had, and he thinks that he is here to become a hero. He steals his nerves, and he asks Sylphie to take him to the goblin. The two of them then find a sleeping goblin, and Kaido asks Sylphie to defeat it. She tries to use her divine lightning to do just that, but Kaido stops her, and he states that he is going to handle this himself. He mentions that he has to be the one to take down this monster, and he tells her to cast her divine lightning if she thinks that he is in trouble. Sylphie understands, and Kaito then attacks the goblin with a wooden sword, but the goblin dodges. It attacks Kaito, but Kaito defends with his newly purchased shield, and the goblin almost manages to push him back, but he pushes it back in the end, and he tries to land a blow at the goblin, but the goblin manages to catch his sword. It disarms him, and it tries to attack him, but he blinds it using his insecticide spray. He then grabs hold of his sword, and he tries to deal the finishing blow to the goblin, but he stumbles, and being a lucky bastard, he manages to dodge the goblin's next attack and kill it at once. Sylphie praises him for this, and Kaito is almost in tears after this confrontation. He then collects the magic core of the monster, and he is glad that he was able to win that fight. Sylphie tells him that he was great, but he should let her help him from the next time around. He states that he will, and he notices that he has leveled up. He finds out that he has finally reached level 5, and we see that he has also gotten a temporary skill called Goblin Slayer. He is surprised that killing just a single goblin was enough for him to level up, and he finds out that the Goblin Slayer skill is granted to those who overcome their fears of goblins by killing one of them solo. It can increase all stats by 10% while he is fighting goblins, but the skill is only temporary since he defeated the goblin by chance, and this reduces the skill's effectiveness. Kaito doesn't know if he should be happy about something like this, but he thinks that it's good that he at least won the fight. Sylphie mentions that they should proceed further now, and the two of them then fight another goblin, and Sylphie uses one of her skills called Iron Wall to protect Kaito while he fights, and he manages to defeat the goblin. The two of them then work together to defeat some more goblins, and Kaito manages to level up one more time. Kaito then asks Sylphie about the dungeon, but he finds out that she doesn't know any more than him, and she apologizes for her ignorance. She mentions that all she knows is that her duty is to be useful to him, and that is what's engraved in her heart, but Kaito states that it's fine, and he mentions that the two of them can learn about the secrets of the dungeon together. Sylphie likes this idea, and the two of them then encounter another goblin. Kaito acts like a tank to keep the goblin's attention on himself, and Sylphie defeats it with her divine lightning. Kaito feeds her the core of the goblin as a reward, and the scene cuts to him selling the goblin cores to the appraiser. She mentions that this is the first time he has brought in some goblin cores, and he states that he went to the second floor today. She is surprised that he managed to kill 4 goblins on his first trip to the second floor, and he mentions that he just got lucky. The scene then cuts to him sleeping late in the morning the next day, and his mother tries to wake him up, but he tells her let her sleep in some more as his muscles are sore, and he can't even move. She mentions that he might be working too hard, and she tells him to not strain himself. He understands, and the next day while going to school Haruka notices that Kaito is looking tired, and she wonders if he went to the dungeon. He lies to her, and he states that he didn't, and she wonders why his entire body is sore in this case. He tells her that he was trying to be like a bodybuilder he admires, so he worked too hard, and she states that he shouldn't overwork himself, as a muscular build won't suit him anyways. The scene then cuts to Kaito talking to his friends in class, and he tells them that he hunted some goblins the other day. They are surprised to hear this, as he was hunting nothing but slimes recently, and they think that he is impressive for managing to defeat those things by himself. He states that he was trying to push himself, and he states that recently he has gained a little confidence. He mentions that he is thinking about going even deeper, and his friends think that people can do anything for love. Afterwards we see Kaito and Sylphie in the dungeon again, and they find an area that they haven't explored till now. They encounter some goblins in the area, and they manage to defeat them all by working together. Kaito rewards Sylphie with some magic cores for her hard work, and he sleeps after returning home. The next day he hunts some goblins again, and we see that he has bought a tungsten rod to replace his wooden sword. We then see Kaito sleeping while class is in session as he has been tired due to his frequent dungeon trips, and he goes to the dungeon once more. He defeats a goblin with his tungsten rod, and he finally levels up to level 10. Sylphie praises him for coming so far in such a short time, and he notices that all of his stats had a major boost after he leveled up just now. He notices that he has also unlocked a skill called God's Blessing, and he finds out that this skill is granted to those who are beloved by God and their kin. It has the ability to boost the increase in stats gained upon leveling up, and the boost depends upon the degree of love by the divine being. He wonders if this is some kind of overpowered skill, and he is surprised that he finally got something which makes him the main character, and he bows down to Sylphie. He thinks that she is the only god he knows, and the skill he just got must be connected to her. Sylphie tells him to stop bowing down to her, and he grabs her hand, and he tells her that he is lucky to be working together with her. She mentions that she is only here for his sake, and he butters her up by telling her that he is glad that he met her, and she is happy to see how much he cares for her. She states that she is lucky to have him as her master, and the two of them encounter a glowing skeleton after exploring some more. Kaido thinks that it must be a rare monster since it's glowing, and he wonders if he encountered this monster thanks to Sylphie's god's blessing. The monster attacks him, and Sylphie protects him using her iron wall. While staying inside the wall, he attacks the skeleton, but his attacks don't do anything to it. He then tells Sylphie to use her divine lightning, and she kills it with just one strike from her spell. The skeleton then drops a red magic core, which is different from the typical blue magic core, and Kaido thinks that this must be because the monster was a rare one. Sylphie is hungry after using 2 spells at once, and Kaido gives her the red core, thinking that she worked hard for it, so she deserves it. She eats the core, and she mentions that it was tastier than the usual blue ones. Kaido then thinks that this core might have been really valuable, and later he asks the appraiser about it, and she tells him that those cores are worth around 2 million. Kaido can't believe this, and the appraiser tells him that it's unfortunate that he lost the core, but since he found a glowing skeleton once, he might be able to find it again. Kaido is totally devastated by his loss, and the scene cuts to him thinking about the money while trying to sleep at night. He states that it's fine, as Sylphie has been helping him out a lot lately, and she deserves a reward for this. He thinks that because of her he has stopped being just a nobody, and he might even be able to head to the 3rd floor now. He states that monsters sometimes appear in groups in the 3rd floor, so he will have to prepare for this first. We then see him in the dungeon the next day, and he tells Sylphie that he is going to fight by himself for a while. Sylphie asks him if she has done something wrong, or something to upset him, and he tells her that she hasn't done anything. She wonders if he doesn't need him anymore, and Kaido states that this is not true, and he mentions that he is thinking of going to the 3rd floor, but at this rate, he is going to become completely dependent on her. He mentions that he wants to get stronger so he won't be a burden to her. She tells him that she never considered him a burden. She states that she should have known that her master would be so thoughtful, and he tells her that he really trusts her, and he is grateful to her. He mentions that he thinks of her as more of a younger sister than a servant, and he would like to work more on building their relationship. Sylphie is happy beyond words after hearing this, and Kaido wonders if he can call her Syl to show his love for her. She likes this new name, and she is glad to have a master who cares for her so much. A goblin then comes there, and Kaido tells Sylphie to watch while he defeats this monster. She wishes him luck, and the scene cuts to Kaido in the appraisal room, and we see that he is badly injured. The appraiser tells him that he shouldn't push himself so much, and he understands, and he buys a potion to heal himself. The scene then cuts to him at his house, and he thinks that he blew up a lot of money because of the potion. He explains that even low-level potions are quite expensive, but if he wants to go to the 3rd floor, he will have to get more potions and some other gear. He thinks that he would also like to stock up on magic cores for Sylphie's consumption, and he decides to kill slimes for a while. The scene then cuts to him taking out slimes in the dungeon with Sylphie's detection ability, and he kills as many slimes as he can. Later he tells his friends that he is killing slimes again, and they think that he is back to where he started, but he tries to tell them that he is killing them to gather funds, and Haruka hears about the slimes. Kaido thinks of a way to divert her attention, and he tells her that he wasn't talking about slimes, he was talking about sliced cheese. He states that eating sliced cheese with bread is heavenly, and she agrees with him. Afterwards we see him killing slimes in the dungeon again, and he manages to gather enough cores to fund his exploration to the 3rd floor. Sylphie then senses something strange nearby, and Kaido notices that it's a silver slime. He thinks that this encounter must be due to Sylphie's god's blessing, and he tells her that they should hit it together. The two of them fight the slime, and Sylphie defeats it. Kaido gets a servant card as a drop item, and he finds out that the card can summon a Viscount-class devil named Luceria, and he wonders if it's safe to summon a devil. He hopes that he doesn't get cursed, and he thinks that having a god and devil by his side is a dream of his. He then summons the devil, and just like before, he notices a giant demon girl in front of him, and she soon disappears, but this time he expects the devil to be a little girl, and he notices that she is in front of him. He is devastated to see that she looks nothing like the beautiful girl displayed on the card, and the two of them introduce each other. She thinks that Kaido seems neither reliable or smart, and Sylphie is not fond of her belittling their master like this. Luceria tells her to not worry about her foul mouth, as every demon is like this, and Sylphie thinks that this is fine if that's the case. Luceria then inquires Kaido about Sylphie, and she notices that Sylphie looks like a Valkyrie. Sylphie tells her that she is Kaido's servant just like her, and she looks forward to working together. Luceria feels the same, and she asks Kaido to give her some cores as she is hungry, but he refuses as she hasn't done anything yet. Sylphie then notices a slime nearby, and Luceria smugly steps in to do her job. She uses an overpowered attack called Hellfire of Destruction to take out the slime, and Kaido feeds her the core after she demands it. She is not satisfied with one of them and she asks for more, but Kaido tells her that he doesn't have any. She thinks of him as a cheapskate for this, and he asks her to show her other attack called Breath of Erosion. She is not thrilled about working more, as he didn't give her more magic cores, but he promises to give her some later. Afterwards she uses Breath of Erosion to take out a goblin, and this practically melts the goblin, and Sylphie and Kaido find it too gross to watch. Kaido gives her the magic core, and Lysiria likes the taste of this core better than the other, and she suggests that they should explore the lower floors for more tasty cores from stronger monsters, but Kaido stops her saying that there are more monsters on the third floor. Lysiria doesn't see any problems with this, and Kaido informs her that they have to secure new weapons and other supplies before they head down. He asks her if she is familiar with this dungeon, and since she is not, she agrees to listen to him. He tells her that they will go to the third floor tomorrow, since she might be tired today, and she is not feeling tired, but she agrees to listen to him after Sylphie tells her that she should listen to her master. The next day, the three of them head down to the third floor, and we see that Kaido has bought a crossbow as his new weapon. Sylphie thinks that the weapon suits him quite well, and Kaido tells her that the crossbow was quite expensive, but Lysiria states that the price doesn't matter. They then notice two hellhounds, and Kaido shoots at them, but he misses, and the hounds try to attack him, but Sylphie protects him with a barrier. Lysiria then takes them out with Hellfire of Destruction, and Kaido feeds her a core, but she is not satisfied and she wants the other one as well. But Kaido refuses as he won't have any left if she eats them all. She is not thrilled about this, but Kaido tells her that he will give her an extra core if she kills some more monsters, and she makes him promise this. She tells him that she will send him to hell if he breaks his promise, and this scares him a bit. The three of them then encounter two wild boars, and Lysiria uses Hellfire of Destruction again, but she only manages to kill one of the monsters, and the other still charges at them. She tries to use another attack on it, but Kaido stops her, and he shoots it, but a single shot is not enough to kill the monster. This startles Kaido, and he falls, and Sylphie tries to help him out with her Divine Lightning, but before she can, he kills the monster with another shot. Sylphie then praises Kaido for this, but Lysiria finds it lame that he was scared. Kaido notices that this has made him level up to level 11, and Lysiria asks him for magic cores again. Afterwards we see Kaido getting out of the facility with the labyrinth thinking that he is not going to make any profit if he keeps feeding all the cores to the servants, and on the way he hears a party of adventurers talk, and he finds out that the three girls in this party can make it to the 6th floor without any problems. The scene cuts to Kaido thinking about this in class, and he is sure that their party can make it to the 6th floor as well, if they work hard. He is happy thinking about advancing so further into the dungeon, and his classmates wake him up from his daydream. They wonder how he can be so carefree, as the two of them don't have enough points to make it to their school of choice, and they find out that he is carefree because he still hasn't decided what school he is going to go to. Haruka overhears them talking about this, and she asks Kaido what school he is going to choose, but he is not sure what to say, and he asks her school of choice first. She tells him that she will be going to Oka Academy, and she wonders if he will be enrolling there as well, and not having made a choice, he tells her that he will. She is happy that they will be able to go to school together once more, and she leaves when one of her friends asks her to help her with the handouts. Kaido wonders what she was so happy about, and his friends think that he is too oblivious for his own good. The scene then cuts to him at the labyrinth again, and the servants kill all the monsters they come across one by one. Unlike Sylphie, Lysiria asks Kaido for more cores, and he has no choice but to listen to her. Sylphie is not too happy about this, but Kaido doesn't catch on to what she is feeling. He keeps giving more cores to Lysiria, and when Sylphie looks at him, he asks her if something is wrong, but she doesn't voice her concerns. He realizes that something is not okay with her, but he can't point out what's wrong, and we then see him at his house. He notices that his mother is watching some kind of drama on TV, and he finds a similar situation taking place there as the one he is facing right now. Watching the drama, he figures out that Sylphie is probably anxious because of the new servant, and he is afraid that this could lead to a duel between his two servants just like in the drama. He thinks that this would be devastating, and he wonders how he can resolve this. The next morning, he meets Haruka on his way to school, and she notices that he looks tired. After talking to him, she finds out that he didn't get any sleep last night, and she asks him if he has some trouble, as she would like to help him out if she can. He tries to tell her the truth, but he decides not to, and he informs her that his two friends have befriended two girls with different personalities, and the quieter one doesn't like the one with a harsh personality. They were all wondering what they can do to make them get along, and this kept him thinking all night. Haruka asks him if he has talked to the quiet girl about this, and she suggests that he should ask the person directly. Afterwards we see that Kaido has only summoned Sylphie in the dungeon this time, and she inquires about Lysiria, and he tells her that he wants the two of them to talk alone. This makes Sylphie blush, but she is not too thrilled to find out that he wants to talk about Lysiria. He asks her if she doesn't like her, and Sylphie tells him that this is not true, and at first she did think that Lysiria was a little scary, but she now knows that the demon didn't mean any harm. She is just a nice and kind girl, and she loves her. Kaido asks her if she has any problems at all, and she informs him that she doesn't, but he insists her to come clean, and he tells her that she is important to him. Sylphie gets flustered hearing this, and since he insists on it, she tells him that there is one thing that's been on her mind. She explains that her master is being too kind to Lysiria, and she wants him to do the same for her. Kaido is confused as he doesn't think that he has been giving the two of them different treatments, but Sylphie informs him that Lysiria has been getting more cores recently. She mentions that she was also able to talk to him more before Lysiria came, and she wants him to talk to her more just like before. Kaido realizes that she is jealous, and he agrees to give her as many cores as Lysiria, and talk to her more from now on. She is glad to hear this, and later we see that Kaido has already started to feed the two girls the same number of cores. He also compliments Sylphie for her timed attack at the monster that they just faced, and Lysiria wants him to praise her as well, and he does so, and this makes her act smug. The three of them then encounter a wild boar, and Sylphie takes it out, and this makes her level up. Kaido notices that all of her stats have increased considerably, and she is happy to hear this. Lysiria congratulates her as well, and they then encounter 3 hellhounds, and Sylphie takes out all of them with a single attack. Kaido is surprised that she can kill 3 of them at once now, and they then fight another wild boar, and Sylphie defends everyone with a barrier. Kaido notices that her barriers are also more durable now, and Lysiria tries to attack the boar, but Kaido stops her and he takes care of it on his own. He then feeds Sylphie some cores, and Lysiria is not happy that she didn't get to do anything. Sylphie then asks him something in a soft voice, but he can't hear her. He asks her to speak up, and she embarrassingly requests him to give her some more cores. Later he realizes that leveling up has also made her appetite bigger than before, and he exchanges his cores for money. The appraiser notices that he has been bringing fewer cores lately, and he is not too happy about it. The next day, we see him killing slimes on the first level of the dungeon, and we find out that he has killed 25 of them by now. Sylphie praises him for this, but Lysiria is not happy that she is not getting to fight, and Kaido tells her that he won't be able to save up the magic cores if she does fight alongside him. She wonders why he summoned her in this case, and Sylphie tells her that she is just happy to support her master like this. Kaido appreciates their support, and hearing this makes Lysiria happy, but she is not too honest with her feelings, and she quietly states that she will continue to support him. Afterwards he sells the slime cores, and the appraiser asks him if there is something wrong with him, as he has been only bringing slime cores recently. He states that he just thought about going back to the first floor for a bit, and the appraiser can't understand his reasoning, as he should be ready for the 4th floor already. The scene then cuts to Kaido searching the internet for some good gear, as he might be physically ready to take on the 4th floor, but his equipment is not up to the task. He thinks about getting a new armor, and he finds a nice suit made up of carbon monotubes, but it's too expensive and out of his budget. He thinks that he needs to make some more money, and the scene cuts to him at the dungeon. He finds a blue metallic slime, and he thinks that this must be thanks to his god's blessing. He expects to get a servant card as a drop, and Lysiria and Sylphie surround the slime, and the two of them attack it together. The slime has no chance of living after this, but Kaido notices that it has dropped a magic orb instead of a servant card. He explains that using this orb he can master a spell and become a wizard, and he hits it on the ground to use it. This gives him a new skill called Water Ball, and excited to try the skill, he finds a hellhound. He tells Sylphie to use her barrier to defend them all, and he orders Lysiria to take out the monster if he misses. Sylphie then casts the barrier, and he attacks the hellhound with the water ball, but it doesn't deal any damage to the monster at all. Lysiria takes it out before it can attack them, and Kaido is disappointed seeing how useless his magic is. Sylphie tries to cheer him up saying that it's amazing that he can use magic in the first place, and Lysiria mentions that at least he won't have to worry about drinking water from now on, but Kaido thinks that he should have sold the magic orb instead. At night we see a depressed Kaido sitting in the park, and Haruka comes up to him. She asks him what he is doing here at this hour, and he almost reveals his new magic skill to her, but he changes the subjects and he talks about a recently released movie and how it was a disappointment when him and his friend went to watch it. The two of them then head home, and Kaido finds out that Haruka was returning from her cram school just now. He thanks her for her advice the other day, as it helped him solve the problem, and she wonders if the situation was about him instead of his friends. He tells her that it was not, and she leaves for her house. Kaido then thinks if she was angry at him just now, and we see that Haruka has noticed that he is hiding something. Kaido wonders if she is also jealous like Sylphie, and although he is right, he thinks that this can't be possible. The scene then cuts to Kaido practicing his water ball at the dungeon, and he tries to control the speed of the water ball, making it go fast and slow at his will. Sylphie cheers him while Lysiria is bummed out to see how lame he is, and Kaido gets tired after using the skill too many times, but he does learn to control its speed. Afterwards we see at his house, and he thinks that the water ball really consumes a lot of energy. He remembers the news of Captain Katsuragi that he saw as a kid, and he thinks that he can't give up. The next day we see him training his water ball skill once more, and Sylphie commends Kaido on making his water ball even faster, but the difference is so minute that Lysiria can't even notice it. After a few shots Kaido gets tired again, but he doesn't give up, and he then tries to change the shape of the water ball from a sphere to a cube. He succeeds after trying for a while, and Lysiria praises him a bit on accomplishing this. He then makes the water ball take a lot of different shapes, and this wipes him out for the day. After resting for a while, he leaves the dungeon, and at the exit he almost stumbles and falls because of exhaustion, but a girl catches him. He apologizes for bumping into her, and she asks him if he is fine, and he states that he is alright. He then takes his leave, and the girl and her party mates are surprised that someone can work hard enough to get to the point of collapsing. Seeing this pumps them up as well, and their party thinks that they are going to make a new personal record in monster slaying. The scene then cuts to Kaido sleeping in class, and his teacher notices this. She wakes him up, and he thinks that he is in the dungeon, and he shouts in front of the class that he will do his best in training today. Everyone laughs hearing this, and at lunch break his friends inquire him about the training. They find out that he was talking about training for a skill that he got recently, and he tells them that the training leaves him beat up every day. The annoying girl once again pops up at the wrong time, and Kaido uses his quick wits to tell her that he was not talking about dungeons, he was talking about dance training. Haruka plays along with his farce, and she advises him to not overexert himself. She leaves asking him to show him the dance sometime, and he is relieved that she didn't find out about the dungeon. Afterwards we see Kaido in the dungeon once more, and he uses his water ball to drown a goblin to death. Sylphie praises him for his ingenuity, and Lysiria is glad to see that he is finally using his head. Kaido then notices that his level is not increasing recently, and we see that he has been stuck at level 11 for a while now. He realizes that he can't gain experience from the monsters at this floor now, and he decides to head to the 4th floor tomorrow. He thinks of buying the carbon monotube suit he saw for the exploration, and the next day we see that he has really bought that lame suit. Sylphie praises the suit, but Lysiria calls it out for what it is, and she wonders if he is going to be fine with this suit alone. Kaido explains to her that this suit will protect him from stabbing attack or arrows, but he will still take some physical damage, since the material is really thin. He shows them that he has also bought a bracelet which is supposed to increase the effectiveness of his magic, and Sylphie tells him that he has spent his money wisely. Lysiria wonders what he means by the supposed to part, and she finds out that he hasn't tried it yet. He shows them that he has also bought a potion, but Lysiria is not interested in his lame choice of gear, and she drags away Sylphie. We then see the group at the 4th floor, and Sylphie can sense a strange monster. The monster gives her a chill, and Kaido remembers that the monsters on this floor are cockroaches, and the two servants encounter one of them. They get scared seeing the creepy bug like most of the girls, and they go on a frenzy blasting up any cockroach they come across on the floor with their skills. Kaido gets left behind, and he chases after them, and later we see that they have cleared the 4th floor and made it to the 5th one to escape the cockroach hell. Both the girls are exhausted, and Kaido approaches them from behind, and they try to attack him thinking of him as a cockroach, but they stop seeing it's him. Sylphie then hugs him with teary eyes as she was scared of the creepy bugs, and Lysiria wonders why he stood there while they fought those bugs alone. He reminds them that they were the ones who left him behind, since they were scared of the bugs, and Lysiria pretends that she wasn't scared at all. Sylphie apologizes to Kaido for leaving him behind even though she is supposed to be her servant, and she asks him to punish her, but he calmly tells her that he is not angry at her. He thanks her since they quickly arrived at the 5th floor because of them, and he shows them that he also has a bag full of magic cores now. Lysiria lies saying that she doesn't want those filthy cores, but her tummy is more honest, and both her and Sylphie eat the cores, but they don't like their taste. Kaido then decides to explore the 5th floor, and he asks Sylphie if there are any monsters here, and she points to several monsters. Kaido finds a sandman and a madman at once, and he attacks them both with his crossbow, but the arrows pass right through them. The monsters then try to attack him, but Sylphie protects them all with her barrier, and he realizes that physical attacks aren't going to work on these monsters. He has Lysiria deal with them using her magic skills, and Kaido thinks that he will have to rely on his 2 servants from here on out since physical attacks are out of the question. He asks them if they can still go on, but they are not interested in eating the cockroach cores for replenishment, and Kaido decides to call it a day. The next day we see them at the 5th floor once more, and Sylphie can't sense any monsters nearby, but she notices something unusual about a wall in the dungeon. Lysiria can't notice anything like that, and Kaido takes a look to make sure, but he also can't find anything. Sylphie tells him to leave the investigation to her, and she blasts the wall with her divine lightning. They then notice a hidden path leading somewhere, and they follow it. While walking, Kaido warns the girls to be careful as there might be traps on the floor, and just as he is talking, Lysiria steps on one of them, and Kaido gets hit by an arrow. He wonders why he is the one who got hit, and he writhes in pain. But at least there is no fatal damage thanks to his lame suit. They then continue ahead, and Kaido once again warns the girls to be careful with the traps, but Lysiria steps on another one. This time Kaido is prepared, and he dodges the arrow, but he steps on another trap, and he gets electrocuted. The girls get worried about him thinking that he might be dead, but he is alright, and he somehow feels better than before. Kaido is happy to see that Lysiria was also worried about him, and she pretends that she wasn't worried at all. The 3 of them then arrive at a giant door, and Sylphie feels a different presence here, but the door doesn't budge, and Kaido thinks that they might need some special kind of key for this. Sylphie asks him to leave this to her, and she casually blasts the door with her overpowered attack. Kaido hopes that he doesn't have to pay for the damages, and they head inside the room. Sylphie can sense a strong presence, which is typical since this does give off some boss room vibes, and they notice a giant slime and an ogre in front of them. Both Sylphie and Lysiria hit the ogre with their skills, but it has little to no effect on it. The ogre then tries to attack them, but Sylphie protects them with a barrier, and the ogre can't break it. They are glad to see the barrier is powerful enough to withstand its attacks, and Kaido tells Lysiria to keep the giant slime busy while they deal with the ogre. Lysiria fights the slime, and Kaido attacks the ogre with his crossbow since magic is not working. He notices that physical attacks are damaging it quite a bit, and he fires all of his arrows at the monster, but it doesn't go down. Kaido thinks that he should have bought more arrows instead of being stingy, and the ogre then attacks them. Lysiria is also having trouble fighting the slime since it's also resistant to magic, and she asks the 2 of them to hurry up. Kaido then decides to use his water ball thinking that the bracelet might strengthen it enough to be of use, and when he tries to use his skill, his water ball freezes. He finds out that this is an effect of the bracelet, and he attacks the monster. Since the ice attack is physical in nature, the monster receives a good amount of damage, and after some attacks, Kaido is almost out of MP, and he thinks that he can just shoot 3 more of these. He realizes that he will have to make his attacks stronger if he wants to kill the monster, and he makes his ice shard sharper and he attacks the monster. He manages to kill the monster after 3 shots, and he then protects Lysiria as the slime is about to attack her. She thanks him for the save, and she tells him to take care of the rest. He plans to keep the slime busy while Sylphie prepares to use her divine spear, and he uses his shield to literally keep the slime away from Sylphie. The slime's acidic properties melt Kaido's shield, and some of his skin as well, and Sylphie attacks it with her spear. She pierces it, but it doesn't do much damage to the slime, and Kaido thinks about retreating, but he remembers Captain Katsuragi, and he refuses to give up. He charges at the slime, and he uses his pesticide sprays to attack it. The slime tries to counter-attack, but Sylphie protects him with her barrier, and he empties the sprays at the slime. The slime is still not dead, and Kaido brings out the pesticide guns. He brings his A-game in pest control, and he hits the slime with a full force of pesticides, and after a while he manages to defeat it. He almost doesn't believe that he has won, and the girls congratulate him, but this hurts his injury from earlier. He drinks the potion to heal himself, and Lysiria levels up. He notices that her stats have increased significantly, and Kaido finds out that he has also gained some levels, and he has a level of 15 now. He is happy that his stats have increased, and Sylphie reminds him that they have to collect the magic cores. He then notices that the ogre has dropped a red core, and he thinks that he might be able to sell this for a high price. He then tries to find the slime's drop item, and he finds out that the slime has dropped a magic sword called Balzard. He notices that the sword is as small as a steak knife, and he's doubtful of its usefulness. We then see him exchanging the red core for money, and the appraiser asks him where he found this. He tells her about the hidden entrance in the 5th floor, and the boss-like monster he defeated, and he locates the hidden passage on the map for her. She mentions that she will send some staff members to look at it later, and she tells him that she will buy this core at a high price since it's a special one. She states that he has been really active recently, and she advises him to participate in the event next week. Upon being asked, she explains that in this event he will have to form a party to explore the 7th floor, and the event also doubles as a social gathering. Kaito is excited to participate, and he tells his friends about this, and how he is making progress to conquer the 6th floor before the event. He is really excited about conquering the 6th floor since he can directly warp there from the entrance after conquering it, and his friends tell him to do his best. He is a little nervous about partying up with someone other than his friends, and Haruka barges in on their conversation once more. She wonders if he is talking about a dance party, and they play along with her. They tell her that Kaito is hoping to go to a dance party sometime, and Haruka asks him to invite her as well. She then leaves, and he thinks that he might have to learn how to dance. The scene then cuts to the day of the event, and after drawing the lots for the party up we see that his party consists of the girl he met the other day. The girls remember him, but he can't recall them at all, and they introduce themselves as Airi Jinguji, Miku Moriyama, and Hikari Tanabe. Haruka then dreams about the past, and she sees her father heading for the dungeon. She asks him to come back as soon as he can, and he promises her that he will come home early, and they will have dinner together. He then heads off, and Haruka wakes up. She then heads to her friend's home to study together with her, and when she steps out of the house, she wonders whether Kaito is doing dance practice or muscle training today. Afterwards we see the participants for the event lining up to get teleported, and Kaito's team is holding hands while standing in the teleport circle, and they get teleported to the 6th floor. Kaito is glad to see that they have arrived safely, and he tells the others that this is his second time using the gate, so he was really nervous. He explains that he used it the first time when he went to the ground from the 6th floor yesterday, and he finds out that it's the same for them, and they were nervous as well. They then come across a staff member guiding them to the stairs for the 7th floor, and he informs them that today's event is scheduled for 3 hours. Near the stairs they notice a convenience store, and Airi wonders if Kaito wants to buy something. Kaito thinks that it's convenient to have a store in the dungeon, and he buys some refills for his pesticide spray. His other party members then notice that he has a lot of luggage, and Kaito thinks that it's them who are traveling light. They explain that it's because they have magic bags, and Kaito is surprised to see this, as magic bags cost as much as a mansion. He finds out that their parents bought this for them, and he realizes that they are all from rich families. Airi then asks him if he has the proper equipment with him, and he embarrassingly states that he started with small things, and he is working his way up. He bought everything he has by selling magic cores, and Mika points out the fact that he is only wearing a tight suit. Hikari tells her that it's not good to say what she is thinking, and they all then gear up to head to the 7th floor. They talk as they explore the floor, and Kaito finds out that mainly golem-type monsters appear on this floor. Hearing this he realizes that the others have been doing recon on this floor, and they inform him that this is the basis for winning any game. Kaito agrees with them, but he knows that this is not a game. They then notice some shadows approaching them, and seeing them they put up their guard, but they find out that it's only the staff members who are keeping the dungeon clean. They tell them to do their best on the event, and they go on their way. Kaito then tells everyone that he is at level 16 right now, and he wonders what levels they are at. Airi tells her that she is at level 18, and Hikari and Miku are both at level 15. Miku also informs him that Hikari has an MP of 75, and Kaito finds this surprising since he only has half her MP. He thinks that she is amazing, and they then come across a stone golem. Airi orders Hikari to get ready to use her magic, and she tells Miku to protect Hikari while she fights the golem. Kaito wonders what he is supposed to do, and she tells him to watch her back. She then attacks the golem, and she manages to defeat it all on her own. Kaito finds this amazing, and they then encounter a bronze golem. Hikari uses the spell called Earth Wave to trap it in a swamp, and Mika summons her servant Snatch and it manages to dodge the golem's attacks, and land a wind spell on it. Hikari then uses a fireball spell on the monster, and Airi finishes it using her spear. Seeing this, Kaito thinks that they are all amazing, and he informs Miku and Hikari that there is a monster behind them. They notice that it's an iron golem, and Kaito attacks it with his crossbow, but it has no effect. Airi then stops the monster from attacking Miku and Hikari, but the golem's skin is too tough for her attack to deal any real damage. Hikari uses her fireball on the monster, and Miku attacks it with Snatch, but neither of their attacks have any effect on it, and the monster also manages to injure Snatch. Seeing this, Kaito thinks that he needs to summon either Sylphie or Lysiria, but he notices Balzard in his pouch, and he remembers reading about this magic sword online. After reading, he found out that they can deal whatever damage they imagine using this sword, and Kaito thinks that he needs to imagine himself defeating the monster. He states that he will summon his servants if this doesn't work, and he asks Hikari to use Earth Wave, and she traps the monster using the spell. He then tells Airi to distract the monster, and she launches a barrage of attacks on the monster. Kaito then attacks the monster from behind using Balzard, and he imagines it blowing up, and the monster really blows up. The others notice that he has the magic sword Balzard with him, and the scene cuts to them discussing their dungeon exploration outside in a CAF. They talk about Kaido's sword, and Kaido tells them that he got it as a drop item the other day, and he was glad that it worked as this was his first time using it. He asks Miku how Snatch is, and he is glad finding out that he is alright. Kaido then states that it was his first time seeing a carbuncle, and he mentions that he has never even seen it in video before. Miku explains that it's because servants can't be captured on camera, and Irie asks him if he has ever seen any of them on video. Kaido remembers that he hasn't, and he realizes that this is why the guild officials never asked him about Sylphie and Lysiria. He then wonders if they are the only ones who know about Snatch, and Miku explains that she picked Snatch up from an auction, and she has registered him with the guild, so everyone knows about him. Miku then suggests that they should put a matching keychain on all of their magic pouch to commemorate taking part in the event, and everyone agrees with her. Afterwards, Irie asks Kaido to join their party as a permanent member, and she explains that there are transfer gates on every 5 floors, so their current goal is reaching the transfer gate on the 11th floor. He likes the idea of partying up with them, but he tells them that he is just an ordinary explorer, and nothing special like them. They are all right with this, and they mention that they feel safer with him around. They wonder if he has anyone else in mind to form a party with, and Kaido is reminded of Sylphie and Lysiria. He thinks that if they find out that he is bringing around 2 little girls with him in the dungeon, he will totally get reported, and he asks them for some time to consider this. Miku wonders if he doesn't like their party, but he tells them that he needs to consult someone about it first, and he will give them an answer later. They understand, and Irie asks him to contact her once he has made up his mind. He understands, and the scene cuts to him heading back to the dungeon. Once inside, he summons his servants, and they are in a bad mood since he didn't summon them earlier. He tells them that he is thinking of forming a party with someone, but they are not happy hearing this, and they can't believe that this is the first thing he is talking about after leaving them. He tells them that he didn't leave them, but they know that the school is off today, and he didn't summon them in the morning. He informs them that he had some business to take care of, and he tries to ask them about the party again, but they mention that the 3 of them are fine as they are right now. Kaido tries asking them again, but Sylphie tells him to end this conversation here. Lysiria then gets angry at him for always calling her by her full name, and Kaido has no idea what else to call her. She points out that he calls Sylphie by her nickname Syl, and he realizes that this time Lysiria is the one who is jealous. He suggests a few nicknames for her, and she likes Luce. She mentions that Kaido will have to call him this from now on, and he agrees. The 2 of them then go ahead to explore the dungeon, and Kaido states that they still haven't cleared up the party thing, but they ignore him. The next day while going to school, Haruka asks Kaido if he practiced dancing over the weekend or if he did muscle training, and Kaido states that he is doing both. She is glad to hear this, and she asks him if he would like to go out shopping with her on the next Saturday. He shyly agrees, and Haruka then notices one of her friends ahead, and she walks the rest of the way with her. Kaido also encounters his friends on the way, and we see that they have heard about the shopping trip, and they wonder if they are going on a date. Kaido doesn't think that Haruka would be interested in going on a date with him, and his friends are disappointed seeing how clueless he is. They then ask him about the event, and they wonder if he partnered with an old dude, but he informs them that he joined a party of 3 girls in which one was 2 years older than him, another was the same age as him, and the last one was a year younger. Hearing this, his friends wonder if the dungeon is a more fun place than they expected, and they think about heading back in there as well. The scene then cuts to Saturday, and Kaido picks up Haruka from her home, and they head to the subway station, and there he notices a broadcast of the Dungeon TV show. Watching it, we find that magic cores are valuable resources, and this is why they can be traded for money. They still haven't figured out how they can use them, but they are filled with an unknown energy which can be of use to them in the future. Seeing this, Haruka thinks that Kaido is really interested in dungeons, and she tells him to forget about it for today and focus on their shopping trip. He agrees, and while walking around the town, Haruka wonders when was the last time the 2 of them went out like this. Kaido thinks that it might be when they were little, and he remembers that back then her father took them to many places. Haruka recalls that they went camping and to the movies back during those times, and she states that they should go to the movies the next time. Kaido agrees, and they then go clothes shopping. Haruka tries out a few outfits, and Kaido compliments each one of them. At the end, Haruka asks him which one he likes the best, and he picks the one which she is wearing at the end. Afterwards, they go to a park, and Haruka notices some boats there, and she tells Kaido that they should ride them. The 2 of them then ride the boats together, and Haruka notices some beautiful fish in the water, but Kaido thinks that she is more beautiful than them. He notices some couples riding the boats as well, and he thinks that from their point of view, they must look like a couple as well, but he perishes the thought thinking that they are just shopping together. Haruka then notices that Kaido is looking a little tougher than usual, and she thinks that his muscle training must be paying off. Kaido agrees with her, and she states that they should have more outings like this. The scene then cuts to the two of them drinking juice together, and both of them like their flavors. Haruka wonders if Kaido would like to try her flavor, and Kaido agrees to do so, and he offers her a sip from his glass. After drinking her flavor, he thinks that this is good as well, but Haruka is a little hesitant of drinking from his glass, thinking of it as an indirect kiss, but she goes through with it, and she likes it as well. The two of them then go to the subway station, and they notice an advertisement about the dungeon. Haruka then looks at a father holding her daughter, and she tells Kaido that she would like to visit another place. She takes him to the dungeon theme park, and he wonders if she would like to head inside, as the parade and fireworks will be starting soon. However, she just asks him if the dungeon building is inside there, and she states that this is where her father is. We find out that earlier she was dreaming about the last time she saw her father, and he promised to have dinner with her, but he still hasn't come home. She wonders why he even goes into the dungeon, and she tells Kaido that she had a great time today. She mentions that they should head home now, and Kaido knows that she is worried about him, but he wants to prove to her that he can be a hero like her father. Afterwards, Kaido tries combining his water ball spell with Balzard, and this gives him a sword made of ice. He uses the sword to fight an earth golem, and he manages to defeat it with a single attack. Seeing this, Sylphie mentions that their master is looking stronger and different now, and Lysiria thinks that it must be because of girls. Kaido worryingly wonders why she thinks so, and she states that it's just a hunch. Sylphie then remembers about the time when he asked their permission to form a party, and she wonders if he wants to form a party with girls. His servants then find out that 3 girls invited him to form a party with him, and Sylphie wonders if there is anything that they are not doing well. Kaido doesn't have any complaints about the two of them, and Lysiria thinks that he is lying, as he has been feeding them fewer magic cores lately. She tries to punish him by sending him to hell, but Kaido calms her down, saying that he won't even think about forming a party with anyone else, and he will also give her as many magic cores as she wants. Lysiria is happy to hear this, but Sylphie tells him to join the party. She mentions that she will support his decision, and Lysiria gives in hearing this, and she reminds him to not forget their magic cores. He agrees, and Sylphie asks him why he wants to form a party with someone other than them. Kaido explains that he wants to improve his skill by partying with them, otherwise he will be left behind since the two of them are too strong. Lysiria is happy to hear this, and Sylphie loves the way he is making an effort. She tells him to keep up the good work, and Kaido informs them that he will only explore with those girls on the weekends, and he promises to not summon the two of them when he is partying up with the others. The scene then cuts to him in his room, and he hesitates to call Irie. Just then Haruka calls him, and she apologizes for calling this late. She states that she just wanted to talk to him, and before she can say anything, Kaido asks her if she knows any spells to make someone less nervous. Haruka wonders why he is asking, and he explains that his friends want to call a girl, but they can't shake their nervousness. He is trying to help them somehow, and Haruka understands. She explains that when she was a child, she entered a piano competition, and she was nervous to play in front of a big crowd for the first time, but her father poked her cheeks, and this helped her get over her nerves. Kaido tries doing this to himself, and he finds out that it really works. He accidentally states that now he will be able to call that girl, and hearing this, Haruka abruptly cuts the call after wishing him a good night. Kaido finds this weird, but he doesn't realize what he has done. He stops thinking about that, and he then uses the charm that Haruka taught her, and he calls Irie. She picks up the call, and she asks him if he has come up with an answer to forming a party with them. Kaido states that this is what he wanted to talk about, and he mentions that he will only be able to party up with them on the weekends. Irie doesn't mind this since her party only explores on the weekends, as they have to attend school on the other days. She asks him to meet up at the dungeon this upcoming Saturday at 10 in the morning, and Kaido agrees. He then cuts the call, and he thanks Haruka for helping with his nervousness. The scene then cuts to him at the 7th floor of the dungeon with the 3 girls on Saturday, and they come across 4 earth golems. Kaido tells the others that he will take care of the 2 on the left, and he asks them to defeat the 2 on the right. Following his orders, Hikari uses Earth Wave to trap the golems, and Mika uses Snatch to distract them, and Kaido defeats them swiftly using his ice sword. The others also manage to dispatch the golems without any problems, and Irie is surprised to find out that Kaido can use magic. Kaido explains that he just used Water Ball, and this confuses them, as his spell looked nothing like a ball. He elaborates that he turned his Water Ball into a magical ice sword using Balzard, and Irie thinks that this was brilliant, and she tells him that his instructions to them were also spot on. She doubts that he usually fights on his own, and he changes the subject, telling her that her spear techniques are great. She reveals that she has been training with the spear ever since she was a child, and Kaido's stomach then rumbles. He suggests that they should have something to eat, and they agree. The scene then cuts to Kaido in his room, and he remembers about the luxurious lunch that the girls brought with them. He thinks that they must eat delicious dishes at home also, and he realizes that they are on a completely different level than him. He then recalls that after the exploration, they told him that they will explore the 8th floor tomorrow, and he hopes that things will be alright. The next day, they head to the dungeon together, and on the way Miku asks Kaido why he is wearing a life jacket. She wonders if he can't swim, but Kaido denies her claims. He explains that there are some submerged areas on the 8th floor, so he is taking on this quest with full preparation. Irie wonders if this is why he bought the magic core gun, and Kaido states that she is right. He tells her that his life jacket is also not simple, it is resistant to magic attacks as well. The scene then cuts to them on the 8th floor, and they are led by Snatch. Kaido finds out that Snatch also has the ability to detect monsters, and he detects an enemy in front of them. They find out that it's an axolotl, and it spews acid on Kaido's life jacket. Kaido has to take it off since it's disintegrating, and he gets angry at the monster for trashing the life jacket that he bought with his hard-earned money. Miku then kills the monster in a single shot using the crossbow that Kaido gave her, and he asks her if she has ever used this before. She tells him that this was her first time, and Kaido is surprised that she can shoot so well on her first time. They then encounter some more peculiar monsters on this floor, and Kaido gets thrown into the water by a squid. He asks the others to save him since he can't swim, but Irie informs him that the water isn't deep, and he can just stand. Kaido gets embarrassed hearing this, and the girls figure out that he really can't swim, and he notices that they have defeated the monster. Afterwards their party comes across some flying fish, and they all fight them. Kaido shoots them using his gun, but he soon runs out of ammo, and he notices Irie fighting the monsters using her spear. Seeing this he uses his water ball on Balzard to form a long sword, and he fights the fishes while mimicking Irie's moves. The others also continue fighting, and they are surprised to see Kaido's skills. Kaido then runs out of MP, and he faints. The scene cuts to him waking up on Irie's lap, and he apologizes for using it like a pillow. She doesn't mind, and he notices that his MP has recovered. She explains that she used a magic potion on him, and he apologizes for making her waste something so valuable. But she doesn't mind it since they are party mates and they are supposed to help each other out. Mika states that they also got a huge haul of magic cores after killing those flying fish, and Irie inquires him about the way he fought earlier. He tells her that he did it by looking at the way she fights, and Snatch then notices a monster approaching them. The monster shows itself to them, and they are surprised to find out that it's a dinosaur. Kaido states that dinosaurs are supposed to appear on deeper floors, and he advises his party to make a run for it. They agree with him, and they all run towards the exit, but the heavy dinosaur's steps cause the entire floor to shake and it also blocks their exit with rocks. Kaido realizes that they have no choice but to fight, and he asks Hikari to use her magic to stop the monster, and he tells Mika to use Snatch for long-range attacks. He mentions that he will distract the monster, and he asks Irie to take care of the offensive. They then execute his plan, but Snatch's long-range attacks and Hikari's magic are both useless against the monster. Kaido then uses his magic ice sword to blast a hole through the monster, but the damage is not enough to stop it, and the monster attacks him. Irie uses this distraction to attack the monster's head, but this is not enough to take it down, and the monster hurls Irie onto the ground. Kaido checks up on her, and she tries to get up again remembering her desire to be a hero, but she can't get up. Kaido tries to wake her up, and he wonders if he should summon Sylphie and Lysiria. He remembers that he promised not to summon them, and the dinosaur then heads towards Miku and Hikari to attack them. Seeing his party mates in trouble, Kaido thinks that this is no time to hesitate, and he summons both Sylphie and Lysiria. The light from their summoning surprises Miku and Hikari, and Irie regains consciousness. Kaido then apologizes to them for summoning them on such short notice, and he tells them to defeat that monster. They understand, and they use Divine Lightning and Hellfire of Destruction to attack the monster. This takes it out, and Sylphie asks Kaido if he is alright. He tells her that he is fine, and Lysiria pouts seeing that he really is with other girls. Miku then hugs Sylphie thinking that she is cute, and seeing her wings she wonders if she is an angel. Hikari is also excited to see the cute Lysiria, and going by her looks, she realizes that she is a demon. She wonders if she can touch her silky smooth black hair, but Lysiria refuses, and Hikari is shocked to hear this. She then makes puppy dog eyes at her asking to touch her hair, and Lysiria doesn't have the heart to stop her. Irie also thinks that the two of them are cute, but she stops herself from behaving like a child, and Kaido tells her that these two girls are his servants. He apologizes for keeping quiet about this, and Miku and Hikari mention that as a sign of their closeness, they have decided to take a bath with these girls. Irie likes this idea, and the scene cuts to them at a bathhouse in the dungeon. In the female bath, Irie states that Kaido really has some amazing servants, and Miku and Hikari familiarize themselves with Luceria and Sylphie, and they also get their permission to call them by their nicknames. Irie asks them if she can also call them by their nicknames, as they saved her life, and they agree. Seeing their cuteness, she can't hold herself back anymore, and she hugs the cute servants. Meanwhile, in the men's bath, we see Kaido bathing with Snatch, and he can't believe how crazy everyone is going over Sylphie and Luceria. The scene then cuts to him saying goodbye to Miku and Hikari, and they leave the dungeon theme park. Seeing Hikari leave with her parents, Kaido thinks that she must be close with them, and Irie reveals that her parents always come to pick her up. Kaido then remembers Irie talking about wanting to be a hero in the dungeon, and he asks her about this. They head to a room in a theme park, and she explains that she has always wanted to be a hero ever since she was a child. She recalls that when she was a little kid, she asked her father why they need to be strong, and he told her that they can protect their loved ones if they are strong, and those who can do this are called heroes. His father explained to her that a hero is someone who knows the meaning of strength, and Irie mentions that this is the kind of person she wants to be. She states that this is why she became a dungeon explorer, and Kaido realizes that she is just like him. Irie then tells him that there is an open campus at her university this weekend, and she asks him if he would like to come. Kaido wonders which academy she attends, and he finds out that it's Oka Academy. Afterwards, Kaido tells his friends about this, and he wonders if they would like to come with them. They advise him to ask Haruka to come with him instead of them, as she wants to enroll there. Kaido thinks that this is impossible, but his friends don't see any problem with this, since their date did go smoothly. Kaido tells them that it was just a shopping trip, and Haruka and her friend then come there after hearing that they were talking about Haruka. Kaido's friends mention that Kaido wanted to talk to her about something, and Kaido has no choice but to ask her if she wants to come to Oka Academy's open campus with him. Haruka excitedly agrees to accompany him since she was already planning to go there, and she is happy that he remembered that they want to go to the same university. Kaido's friends then ask Haruka's friend if she is going as well, but she refuses, and they are sad to hear this, as they wanted to make it a double date. Kaido then meets up with Haruka on the next weekend, and he notices that she is wearing the dress they bought on their shopping trip, and he thinks that she is looking cute. They then head off to Oka Academy, and the scene cuts to them on the train. Kaido is sitting a little far from Haruka, and he gets closer to when she prompts him to do that. She thanks him for inviting her to the open campus, and Kaido tells her that there is no need for this, as she was planning to go anyways. She mentions that she likes it better with the two of them going together, and Kaido agrees with her. He thinks that this feels like a date, but he decides not to get carried away, and he tells himself that they are just going to check out the academy. Haruka then expresses her excitedness to check out Oka Academy, and we see that Shinji and Hayato are also on the train, and they mention that they are also excited. Kaido asks them why they are even here since their desired schools are different, and they explain that they just want to experience an open campus themselves. They ask him to not worry as they have no intention of being a third wheel between the two of them, and Kaido brushes off their remarks. He then notices a poster about the dungeon on the train, and Haruka asks him if he is sad because he couldn't go to the dungeon. He tells her that he is not, and he smoothly states that going to the open campus with her is better than going to the dungeon. Haruka tells him to forget about the dungeon for today in this case, and all of them then arrive at Oka Academy. They are surprised to see the grand campus, and just by a single look, they can tell that this is a place where people from high society gather. Haruka mentions that they should head to the reception, and on the way they notice cherry blossom trees. Seeing them, Haruka thinks that the two of them will be able to walk together under these cherry blossoms on the next spring, and Kaido imagines himself walking under the cherry blossoms with Haruka. He starts to dream in the middle of the path, and Haruka makes him snap out of it. Kaido then thinks that he shouldn't get carried away like this, and he decides to study hard and pass the exams to make his dream come true. He realizes that even if they enter the academy together, they will only be classmates, and he stops himself from fantasizing. Afterwards they arrive at the reception, and Kaido meets Irie there. Irie hopes to get to know him better today, and she wonders if he has brought his friends with him. Kaido tries to introduce his friends, but seeing a beautiful girl, his friends take the lead themselves, and the crass guys dignifiedly introduce themselves to her. Irie then asks him if the girl with him is his girlfriend, but Kaido tells her that this is not true, and he explains that she is his childhood friend, and they are also neighbors. Irie then tells them all to have a look around the campus on their own for now, and she mentions that she will give them a tour when she is free from her duty here. They leave, and Irie is relieved that Haruka is not Kaido's girlfriend, but she doesn't realize why she is even feeling relieved. Afterwards, Kaido and the others enter the academy building, and Hayato asks Kaido how he met Irie in the first place. Kaido explains that they met in the dungeon, and Haruka gives him a cold look hearing this. Kaido can feel the chilly winds blowing around her, and they get more intense when he accidentally tells her that it was Irie who told him about the open campus today. Haruka manages to calm herself down, and she spins it around positively saying that it's thanks to Irie that the two of them were able to come here together. She states that they should be thankful to her, and she reminds him that he promised to not talk about the dungeon today, and from her voice we can see that she is still angry. Kaido's friends then suddenly drag him out of there, and they take him away from Haruka for a moment. They then ask Kaido if he was talking about Irie when he said that he is going to form a party with someone, and he explains that he was. His friends envy him after hearing this, and they wish that they hadn't quit being explorers. They put this matter aside for now, and they advise Kaido to be more careful about what he says to Haruka since she is worried about him going to the dungeon. Kaido understands, and the four of them continue their tour. They go to the auditorium, and they notice that the size of this one is way bigger than the one in their school. Haruka shows them that it also has an electric blackboard, and she explains that the students can also take classes on tablets. They then notice that this academy also has a lot of clubs, and Kaido finds an AED nearby, and he tries to compare this to what they have in the dungeons, but his friends stop him. They then check out a few more places, and they head to the garden. They also like the garden and the calm atmosphere around it, and Kaido's friends think that this is a great academy, but their scores aren't good enough to enroll here. Kaido states that he will also have to study hard if he wants to go here, and his friends ask him what he is going to do about the tuition fee. He tries to tell them that he can make the money by exploring dungeons, but he stops since Haruka is there, and he states that he can just get a part-time job. The four of them sit there for a bit longer, and Haruka states that it would be great if the two of them can take a break like this between classes. Kaido agrees with her, and he fantasizes doing this, but Miku and Hikari interrupt his fantasy. They mention that they heard from Irie that he was here, and he introduces them to his friends who once again act dignified after seeing some girls. Seeing Haruka, Miku, and Hikari also assume that she is his girlfriend, but he tells them the same thing he did Irie. Kaido then recalls that Miku is still a second year, and Hikari is a first year, and he thinks that it's too soon for them to take a college tour. Hikari mentions that she wanted to come here when she could, since this is a good opportunity, and Kaido doesn't understand what she means. Haruka then asks them how they know Kaido, and Kaido doesn't know what to tell her, but the girls outright mention that they are a party in the dungeon, and they explore together. Haruka gives Kaido a cold look hearing this, and Irie comes right in time to break the tension in the air. She wonders if they should go to the cafeteria to have something to eat, and they agree. The scene then cuts to them in the cafeteria and everyone is surprised to see the amazing menu they have here. Irie tells them that since this is a school cafeteria, they can even get this in cheap. They are amazed to hear this, and all of them then begin eating. They love the food, and we find out that this is the first time the rich girls are eating in a cafeteria and they are enjoying this experience. Haruka then tries to get a refill, and Kaido offers to get it for her, but she suggests that they should get some for everyone, and the two of them leave together. Hayato then asks the girls if they met an instructor named Onigawara at Explorer training, and they remember that they did, and they all hated him since he was really strict. The boys agree with them, and Hayato tries to act out how he behaved, and Hikari thinks that he sounds really like him. Hayato gets smug after hearing her praise, and he proceeds to imitate Onigawara some more, but the girls soon get bored of this. Irie changes the subject saying that this reminds her of the Explorer training, and she remembers being scolded by Onigawara during AED training. Miku wonders if both Shinji and Hayato are also explorers, and they mention that they are, but only on paper, as they did complete the training. Hayato mentions that the lectures at the training were long, and Shinji kept dozing off, but Shinji reveals that Hayato was not any different from him. Hayato states that this is why they didn't know that items from the dungeon are only effective within a radius of 3 kilometers from it, and he explains that he once tried to use the potions when he got hurt in a race, but he ended up wasting all of them. Irie explains that this is why a theme park has been set up around the 3-kilometer radius, and she mentions that all the manufacturing and research of items and potions take place within that area. She states that there are a lot of rules, and it's hard to remember them all, and the boys agree with her. Shinji and Hayato mention that at least it's fun to play at the amusement park, and Irie states that even the management of the park by the dungeon staff is amazing, and she reveals that she even wrote a report about it once. The boys then mention that dungeons are a great place, and Haruka hears this since she is standing right behind them. Her and Kaido then distribute the drinks to everyone, and she wonders why people even explore the dungeons. Afterwards they resume the tour, and they check out the swimming pool. Kaido tells Haruka that this pool is heated, so they can even swim in winters, and seeing the pool reminds him of the time that Haruka saved him when he almost drowned as a child. Hearing this, Mika realizes that Kaido really can't swim, and Hikari feels an uncertain feeling in her chest seeing him so close to Haruka. Mika can't understand what she is talking about, and she explains that it's a strange feeling which is foreign to her. They all then check out the soccer field, and Hikari stumbles on the stairs, but Kaido saves her in the nick of time, and she feels embarrassed being held in his arms. She thanks him, and Irie compliments Kaido on the save. Mika reminds him to put down Hikari, and Kaido does that. A soccer player then accidentally kicks the ball towards Mika's face, but Kaido saves her by acting like a Sigma male, and this sends the hearts of both the girls aflutter. Kaido's friends also think that he is amazing, and Irie mentions that they should head to the dojo next. At the dojo, Irie wonders why she even invited them here, even though she was not planning on this, and we can clearly see that she wants to show off her cool side to Kaido. She then shows everyone her skill with the spear, and after she ends her display, everyone claps for her and compliments her. Irie focuses only on Kaido's compliments, and she realizes why she brought them here. Afterwards, Kaido and his friends prepare to leave the academy, and Irie and the girls share their contact info with Haruka. Irie tells her that she can ask her any questions she has regarding the academy, and Shinji and Hayato wonder if they can also have their contact info. They agree, and the boys are happy to hear this. Kaido and his friends then thank Irie for showing them around the academy, and they leave. The scene cuts to them on the train back home, and Kaido is glad to have visited the academy. He thinks that it was a great school, but his horndog friends are more interested in the girls they met, and Hayato asks Shinji which one was his type. They both have trouble picking a single one of them, and they think that they should start exploring dungeons again, and they might also meet girls like them. Kaido reminds them that they are not supposed to talk about this, and Haruka simply smiles at them, but we can clearly see the animosity behind her smile. Afterwards, Kaido and Haruka walk home together, and Kaido tells her that he is going to study hard so they can get to Uka Academy together. Haruka wishes him the best, and she asks him which of the three girls were his type. He tells her that he never thought about this, and he thinks that she is her type, but he can't say it to her face. Haruka then remembers that Kaido called everyone by their given names today, and he doesn't get what she is pointing at. This angers Haruka, and she quickly leaves for her house. Later, Kaido wonders why she was so angry at the end, and he thinks that she might have been jealous of the other girls. He realizes that this couldn't be, and he wonders how he is going to explain his untimely absence to Sylphie and Luceria tomorrow. We then see Kaido fighting a slime in the dungeon, and he defeats it using insecticides. We notice that he has collected a number of slime cores, and he thinks that this should be enough to feed his two servants for a while. Luceria then asks Kaido what he was doing with Irie and the others yesterday, and he explains that he was just on a school tour. He wonders if she knows what a school is, and she tells him to not make fun of her, but she actually doesn't know what it is. Sylphie explains to her that it's a place where humans study, and she understands that her master has his own reasons, but she doesn't like him ignoring them. He apologizes for this, and he offers to give them 3 magic cores, but they are not satisfied, and they ask him for 100 cores. Kaido then notices a rare slime behind them, and he informs them about it, but they think that he is just trying to trick them, and they don't look behind them. Kaido keeps pointing out the slime, and Luceria thinks that this is disturbing them, and she takes out the slime without even looking at it. They ask Kaido how he is going to make up for abandoning them, and he offers to give them 10 cores. This satisfies them, and they tell him to not ignore them as much as he can. Kaido then notices that the rare slime has dropped something called the Gloves of Force, and he finds out that these gloves can exert an invisible force by consuming the wearer's MP. He goes to the 8th floor of the dungeon to try out the gloves, but he can't notice anything after using it. He thinks that it must be because the force is supposed to be invisible, and he uses the gloves on water, and he finds out that the gloves are working when he notices ripples in the water, but it's not that strong. Luceria thinks that this is just a worthless item, and Kaido tries to combine the power of the glove with Balzard, and the magic sword is able to split the water. He finds out that he can even manipulate small things at his will, and Irie and the others join him. They state that they should do their best today as well, and he thanks her for the tour the other day. He mentions that it was fun, and he really wants to pass the exams, but as things stand, he will have to work hard. Hearing this, Irie offers to hold a study group for him, and he thanks her for this. He asks her if he can invite Haruka as well, and the girls are surprised to hear this, but Irie allows it, and the others mention that they will join them as well. The servants then think that Kaido is getting along better with the girls now, and he hopes that the two of them can support him as well. He notices that they are pouting, and he wonders what's wrong. They mention that it's nothing, but he can clearly see that they are mad, and he offers them some magic cores. They eat the cores while pouting, and the girls think that they are really cute. The group then heads to the 9th floor, and Irie warns everyone to be careful as this is going to be their first time on the 9th floor. Just as they enter the floor, Sylphie can sense a powerful enemy, and Kaido wonders what they should do. The girls tell him that they have to keep going, and Kaido notices that there are no alternate routes, so they head for the monster. Luceria declares that she will take care of things if it gets dangerous, and Irie tells them that they can always run if things are too much for them to handle. They then notice that the monster that Sylphie sensed is an Orthrus, and Luceria is surprised to see one of these on the 9th floor. Kaido agrees with her as such a powerful monster is not supposed to be at this floor, and he mentions that they should turn back. Irie agrees, but the monster notices them as they are about to run away, and it attacks them. Sylphie defends everyone with her Iron Maiden wall, and Hikari traps the monster with her Earth Wave spell. Luceria attacks it with her Hellfire of Destruction, but the spell has almost no effect on the monster, and it attacks them with its fire breath. The barrier prevents them from damage from the attack, but they can still feel the heat, and Luceria then attacks the Orthrus with Breath of Erosion. The monster is still unscathed, and Miku orders Snatch to attack it. Snatch's attacks also do minimal damage to the monster, and Kaido wonders what they should do. She tells Luceria to attack the monster while he distracts it, and Luceria attacks the monster's belly with Hellfire of Destruction while Kaido keeps it busy. Even this is not enough to take out the monster, and Kaido tells Sylphie to use her Divine Spear to attack the monster together with Luceria's Hellfire of Destruction. The two of them then attack the monster together, but the tough beast refuses to die. It attacks Kaido, but he dodges, and Irie and Miku open fire at it. The monster tries to attack them with its fire breath, but Kaido uses Balzard combined with Gloves of Force to injure the monster, and he prevents it from using fire breath by blocking its mouth with a water ball. All of them then work together to attack the monster, and after taking a combined attack from them all, the monster goes down. They are happy to have defeated an Orthrus, and Kaido mentions that they should keep going at this pace, but the girls are tired, and they state that they should rest first. They all take a break, and Kaido rewards his servants with some magic cores, and he compliments them for their hard work. Luceria is still confused as to why an Orthrus was at this floor, and Sylphie can sense a powerful presence nearby. A demon then comes there, and he is not surprised that his dog was defeated. Seeing him, Kaido and the others figure out that he was the one controlling that Orthrus, and Luceria notices that he is quite strong. The demon mentions that he is not going to let any of them get away, and he attacks them with his spell called Dark Mare. Sylphie defends with her barrier, and the demon attacks with a quick dash, but the barrier still stands. Kaido can't even see his attack, and thinking that this can be troublesome, he gives Sylphie some cores, and he tells her to keep up the barrier at all costs. Everyone then attacks the demon from inside the barrier, but even their combined attack has almost no effect on him. Luceria thinks that they might need Sylphie to go on the offensive if things continue like this, but Kaido is worried about his party mates. They tell him that they will be fine, and Irie mentions that she will be able to handle the demon's sword, no matter how fast it is. Kaido trusts them, and Sylphie takes down the barrier. Her and Luceria then attack the demon together, but this also doesn't have any effect on him, and the demon tries to attack Kaido, but Irie protects him. The demon catapults her onto the wall, and he attacks Kaido again, but Kaido blocks with Balzard, and he breaks his sword. The demon is enraged to see this, as this sword was given to him by the Duke, and he punches Kaido, and he sends him flying. Sylphie and Luceria get angry to see this, and they attack the demon together with Snatch. Meanwhile, Kaido heals himself with a potion, and Miku asks him if he is alright. He states that he is fine, and he asks her for a favor. Her and Snatch then attack the demon together, and Kaido uses this opportunity to stab him using Balzard from behind. He uses Balzard's power to burst open a hole in his body, and the demon falls to his knees. Kaido wonders if this is enough to kill him, but the demon heals himself using magic. He then punches Kaido, and the girls try to protect him, but he goes through them all in an instant. Syl also attacks him, but he throws her to the wall, and Luceria tells Kaido to run and leave this guy to him. She fights the demon, and instead of running, Kaido wonders if he has anything to defeat this demon. He can't find anything, and the demon pushes Luceria aside. Kaido thinks that he can't run away on his own, and he wonders how he can defeat this guy. He then remembers about Luceria's skill called the Beauty of Gluttony, and he recalls that this skill allows her to power up temporarily by consuming her contractor's HP. He asks her to activate Beauty of Gluttony, and she reminds him that she will have to consume his life to activate this skill. He states that this is the only way they can survive, and she reveals her true form by devouring Kaido's HP. Kaido notices that she has grown up, and Luceria explains that the Beauty of Gluttony has restored her level, but this is not her complete form. She mentions that this is enough to beat this guy, and the demon can't recognize her. She mentions that she is going to kill him, but he doesn't realize the situation he is in, and he carelessly attacks her. The attack has no effect on her, and the demon is terrified to see this. He attacks her again, but the results are the same, and he wonders who she is. She introduces herself as a Viscountess-class demon, and he is terrified to hear this. He changes her attitude after finding this out, but she refuses to forgive him for hurting her friends, and she gears up to use Storm of Divine Destruction. The demon thinks that this is not an attack that a Viscount-class demon can use, and he wonders what her origins are, and Lysiria takes him down with her attack. After the fight is over, Kaido tells Lysiria to cancel the beauty of gluttony, as he is already at his limit, but Lysiria refuses since she just got back her grown-up form. Kaido begs her, and she asks him what he thinks of her adult appearance. He states that this is not the time for this, but she refuses to cancel her ability until he answers, and he compliments her adult form. She then asks him if he will be as kind to her as he is to Sylphie, and he agrees, and she cancels her ability. Kaido barely evades death, and afterwards everyone heals up by drinking some potions. Kaido notices that he has leveled up to level 18, and his HP has increased by 8 points. He notices that he also has a new skill called Slight Pain Resistance, and we find out that the girls have also leveled up. Kaido thinks that this was bound to happen after what they went through today, and they are happy that they managed to survive. Kaido then checks the loot before they head back home, and he finds Orthrus's magic core. He notices that it's the biggest core he has seen till now, and we find out that Miku and Hikari are looking for something in the dungeon, but this is not what they want. Kaido then notices that the demon has dropped his servant card, and he wonders what he should do with this. Irie and the others leave this decision to him, as him and Lysiria were the ones who defeated that demon, and Lysiria and Sylphie suggest that they should just sell him. Kaido thinks that he might be helpful as he was stronger than both of his servants, and he summons the Baron-ranked demon named Berulia. He can't find him after summoning him, and he is disappointed to see that he has also taken the form of a child like the others. Kaido asks him why he has become so small, and he explains that it's because his level has been reset, and Kaido regrets summoning him. He hopes that he can sell him instead, and Berulia is shocked to hear this. Afterwards we see Kaido bathing at the bathhouse in the dungeon, and Berulia washes his back. He asks Kaido to not abandon him, and Kaido thinks it won't be good if someone sees them like this, and Berulia asks him if the two of them are going to stay together. Kaido tells him that they will stay together forever to get him to stop scrubbing his back, and Berulia hugs him, and he thanks him for this, but Kaido is uneasy by this. His servants at the girls' bath can hear him across the walls, and they think that the two of them seem to be getting well. Afterwards Kaido sells the crystal of Orthrus, and the appraiser asks him where he found this. He explains that they got this after defeating Orthrus at the 9th floor, and she is surprised to hear this. She mentions that she will send in a team to investigate this immediately, and she tells them that the price of this core is 24 million yen. Kaido is surprised to hear this, and she states that she will transfer the money to his account. He wants the 4 of them to share it equally, but the other 3 don't mind him having all of it. Kaido doesn't like this, as the 4 of them defeated the monster together, and they agree to accept part of the money since he insists. The appraiser then tells him that she can also provide him with the file for his income tax if he wants, and Kaido is confused as he has never had to deal with taxes before. Afterwards we see him in a CAF with the girls, and he apologizes for making them hear a lecture on income tax when they are already tired. They don't mind it, and he asks them what he is supposed to do now. They advise him on how to deal with taxes, and they tell him to save all of his expenditure bills to help him reduce the tax as much as possible. Kaido thinks that he always throws away the bills, and he decides to keep them from now on. Afterwards Hikari leaves by her car, and Irie tells Kaido that today was really hectic. She mentions that Kaido must have something which attracts special things to him, but he states that there is nothing like this. He does think for a moment that she can be right as he has 3 servant cards, but he perishes the thought thinking that it can't be. The scene then cuts to Miku talking to Hikari over the phone, and Hikari mentions that she is looking forward to this weekend's raid. She is excited to see the new skills of everyone, and Miku tells her to not push herself too much, and take some time off if she wants. Hikari states that she will be fine, and she doesn't want to waste her time resting. Mika states that she will see her on the weekend in this case, and she cuts the call. Afterwards Hikari ends her tough girl act, and she starts coughing. The scene then cuts to Kaido and the others in the dungeon at the weekend, and Kaido asks Berulia to show them his power. Berulia asks him if he can give him a weapon first, and Kaido is surprised that he doesn't have his own, but Lysiria reminds him that he was the one who broke his weapon. Kaido then searches his bag for something, and he takes out the tungsten rod he bought earlier. He gives it to Berulia, and he tells him that he can use this. Berulia hesitates to accept it, and he asks for a weapon which is more like a sword. Hearing this, Sylphie and Lysiria think that he is being rude to their master by refusing to accept this, and he apologizes. Kaido tells him that this is all he has right now, and Beryllia accepts this for now. We then see him fighting monsters using the tungsten rod, and he manages to kill the monsters easily. Seeing this, Kaido thinks that he is stronger than him, and Beryllia hopes that this proves to Kaido that he can be helpful to him. Lysiria tells him that he is actually moving slower than before, and he mentions that it's because he still hasn't gotten used to his current level. He hopes that Kaido will still keep him by his side with teary eyes, and he tells him that he wants to be of service to Princess Lysiria and Princess Sylphie. Like always, the flattery works on the girls, and Beryllia mentions that he might be a liability right now, but he will eventually become Kaido's sword and do his best. Kaido agrees to keep him, and he mentions that he might be slower, but he is strong enough. He states that he will look forward to working with him, and Beryllia thanks him for this. Kaido then mentions that first he would like to test his skills, and he fights some monsters to reduce his HP in order to test Beryllia's Dark Cure skill. After his HP is down to almost nothing, he asks Beryllia to cast Dark Cure on him, and Beryllia does this. Kaido can feel recovered after the spell, but he notices that his HP has only recovered slightly, and Beryllia explains to him that the main purpose of Dark Cure is to heal injuries, and it restores their HP to the point where they won't die. Kaido is disappointed by this, as he was hoping to use Dark Cure in tandem with Beauty of Gluttony to increase the time of the spell. Hearing this, Lysiria wonders if they should give this a try, but Kaido refuses as he doesn't have much HP left right now. Lysiria tells him that he is not going to die instantly, and she wants to transform to her adult form once more, but Kaido falls down while trying to escape from her. Beryllia then offers to heal his injury this time, and he casts Dark Cure. Kaido notices that his wound doesn't hurt anymore, and Kaido thinks that his skill is great, and it's going to help his save potions. Beryllia is happy to hear this compliment, and they then head to the deeper floors. They encounter a metal golem, and Irie and the others mention that it's their turn to show their skills. First off, Hikari uses her Ice Circle skill to freeze the golem in place, and Irie slashes it into half using her Iron Slash skill. Kaido thinks that both of them are amazing, and Irie mentions that this skill of hers consumes a lot of MP, so she can't afford to miss her attack. Afterwards, they encounter 3 earth golems, and it's Miku and Snatch's turn to show off their skills. Miku uses her Dance of Illusions skill to put the golems in an illusion, and Snatch attacks them with his Hedgehog skill, and this takes down the golems. Kaido notices that their combination has gotten stronger, and he thinks that they should check Sylphie's new skill now. They explore the dungeon, and they come across some more monsters. Kaido tells Sylphie to use her Song of the War Maiden skill, and he tells Lysiria and Beryllia to join the battle as well, so he can test whether her skill works on servants or not. Sylphie then starts singing her song, and an angel shows up there, and she blesses Kaido and his servants with some buffs. They can feel strength coursing through their body, and they notice that they can also predict the movements of the monsters. They can easily kill them with a single strike each, and after taking down the monsters, Lysiria tells Kaido that she could feel her power increase just now. She mentions that it was not as powerful as the Beauty of Gluttony, but it still increased her strength, and Kaido is glad that it works on servants as well. He asks Beryllia about his experience, but Beryllia reveals that he couldn't feel anything different. Hearing this, Irie speculates that the effect of the skill might depend on the level of trust, and Beryllia is disappointed to hear this, but Irie tells him to cheer up as he will be able to build trust from now on. The others cheer him on as well, and he thanks them for this. He mentions that he was originally a rearguard, but now he has risen to knighthood, and he can also improve his swordsmanship. He mentions that he can do even more if he gets his sword, and Kaido tells him to wait a minute. He leaves, and he returns with a sword. He asks Beryllia if he can do better with this, and Beryllia notices that it's a bastard sword. He doesn't respond to this at all, and the others wonder if he doesn't like this, but he is so happy to get a real sword that he cries. He vows to do his best, and he then tries out the sword against some monsters. He can take them out as easily as slicing through butter, and the others are surprised by his skill. Beryllia then hands over the magic crystals to Kaido, and he mentions that he is more pumped now that he has a sword. Kaido thanks him for the hard work, and Beryllia is glad to hear this. Kaido then wonders if he can teach him swordsmanship, and Beryllia agrees, and he wonders if they should start right now. Kaido states that he would love to, but he has to leave early today, and Sylphie and Lysiria ask him why. He doesn't want to get into the details, but Irie tells them that it's because they are having a study group at her house tomorrow, and the servant girls start pouting after hearing this. He apologizes to them, and he tells them and Beryllia that he will return soon. The scene then cuts to Kaido, his friends, and Haruka at Irie's house, and they are surprised to see how massive it is. Miku and Hikari then arrive there in their cars, and they head inside. They can see nothing but a forest in front of them, and they wonder where the house is. They then notice the girls sitting in a car to head to the house, and Kaido asks them to give them a ride as well, but they show him the route for the men, and the guys can't believe that they have to walk. Afterwards we see the girls greeting Irie at her house, and Haruka tells her that her house is really elegant. Irie thanks her for the compliment, and she mentions that her house has been a dojo for a long time. This is why it's equipped with an environment which helps balance the mind, technique, and the body. She mentions that there is a dojo to hone skills, a waterfall to stabilize mind, and a garden designed for physical training. She states that the hill is ideal for improving basic physical strength, and she makes use of it every day. The guys then come to the house as well, and they are completely tired. Seeing them, Irie states that they should start their study session, and the guys can't believe that they won't even get to rest for a bit. Irie then takes them to the dojo, and the guys wonder why they are here. They thought that she would take them to her room, and she mentions that her room is not big enough for all of them. She states that she can also swing her spear in here if she loses her concentration, and they can also go to the waterfalls if they can't get rid of idle thoughts. They are pretty sure that she is the only one who would do those things, and they all then sit down to study. Everyone takes their desired seats, and Kaido wants to sit next to Haruka, but that seat is already taken, and Irie invites him to sit next to her. Haruka is jealous to see them sitting together, and Irie asks Kaido what he would like to learn first. He is interested in solving some math problems, and Irie helps him out with those. Haruka gets more jealous to see them getting closer, and Hikari asks her to teach her. She agrees, but Shinji states that he can also teach her if she wants. Hayato tells him that he is just bothering Hikari, and he states that she can ask him if she wants as he is good in all subjects. Kaido mentions that the two of them are almost the same, and Hikari wants to be taught by Haruka. Kaido thinks that Haruka will do a fine job teaching her as she has always been caring and kind, and his friends say from the background that he knows Haruka quite well and she is cute as well. The other girls get jealous hearing this, and Kaido tells them that the two of them are just childhood friends. Afterwards the girls can't focus on their studies, and Irie suggests that they go to the waterfalls. The boys are not sure about heading there in winters, but the girls agree to the idea, and Kaido's friends also agree after seeing that they are going. Kaido has no choice but to accompany them, and the scene cuts to them at the waterfalls. The boys notice that the water is really cold, and the girls head into the waterfall first. They clear their minds for a while, and they then stop. Irie then asks them how it was, and they mention that their mind is a bit clearer now. Kaido asks Haruka if she is alright, and she mentions that she is fine, and he notices that she is looking cute with wet clothes. Afterwards it's the boys' turn, but they can't take being in the waterfall for long, and they quit. The scene then cuts to everyone leaving at night, and Shinji and Hayato mention that they forgot everything they learned because of the cold waterfall. The girls had fun and they think that they should do this again. The guys notice that they are getting along better than in the morning, and Kaido is glad to see this. The next day Luceria and Sylphie find out that Kaido had fun in the waterfall instead of studying. The girls confirm this, and they mention that thanks to the fun they had, they are in good shape today. Hikari thinks that they might make it to the 10th floor at this pace, and the servants don't like the fact that they got to have all the fun. Luceria gets determined to prove that she can be more useful than Irie and the others, and they all head ahead. On the way, Mika tells Hikari that she shouldn't push herself, and Hikari mentions that she has been having a lot of fun lately. She hopes that these days last forever, and she mentions that she wants to be a hero. Sylphie then feels monsters ahead of them, and they come across 2 silver orcs and a lizard man. Kaido tells Sylphie to sing the War Maiden's song, and this gives everyone a buff. Hikari freezes all of the monsters with her ice circle, and Beryllia attacks the lizard man while Irie and Kaido take down the silver orcs. Some more monsters then show up there, and Miku and Snatch take them out with their combined attack. Irie takes on some of them as well, and Kaido and Beryllia take care of the rest. After defeating all of the monsters, Kaido is surprised that they can take down the monsters on the 9th floor this easily, and Luceria is angry that she didn't get to do anything at all. She states that she wants to be useful as well, and Kaido calms her down. He then feeds magic crystals to all his servants, and Hikari hopes that they can keep having fun just like this. The group then reaches the stairs to the 10th floor, and Kaido wonders if they should go down there right now. Hikari states that they should, and she leads the charge, but she starts feeling unwell, and she collapses. The others notice blood coming out of her mouth, and Miku asks her to wake up with tears in her eyes. Thanks for watching my recap. Please like, share, and subscribe to get latest anime recap updates.